Good evening. 6:30, I'm going to call the order meeting number 1920, the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission. We're here live in the John Daly Meeting Room of the East Windsor Town Hall, as well as on the Zoom platform. We're going to begin our meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a quorum this evening. We have all 5 regular members as well as our alternate present. Do we have any added agenda items?
We do not.
We do not. Okay. Legal notices. 2. The East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. PZ 2026-15. Applicant owner is Lee L. Hines. Executrix has submitted a re-subdivision application to create one residential building lot located at 55 Rockville Road, Broadbrook, Connecticut, 06016, map 39, block 64, lot 21, zone is an R3. The full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town's website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. And this was published in the Journal Inquirer on June 12th, 2026, and again on June 19th, 2026. The other legal notice we have is the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend this will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. PZ 2026-14. The applicant is the Town of East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission is requesting a text amendment to Section 203 definitions, Section 502 permitted uses in the business and industrial zone, and new Section 502.6 middle housing of the East Windsor zoning regulations. A full copy of these application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town's website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. And this was published in the Journal Inquirer on June 12th, 2026, and again on June 19th, 2026. Okay, we are at the public participation portion of our meeting. Does anyone have anything they would like to speak about that is not on tonight's agenda? Mr. Anderson?
Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Broadbrook. The second legal notice we just read. For the text amendment, the information was not on the website this morning. I had to make a phone call, had it put on the website. It was available starting at 9:30 this morning. So you're aware. So I find to be a little bit uncomfortable because it's a lot of detail and there's very little time to look at it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Next, we're moving on to approval of minutes. Minutes from the June 9th, 2026 meetings. Does anyone have any edits, corrections?
I'd call your attention to the section establishing a quorum. And the membership attendance is noted. Then it says Paul Anderson was present. And I don't know that that's relevant to establishing a quorum. So
Okay, agreed.
with me, I would strike that. In line 98 and 100, it says Commissioner Gobin asked for clarification. I think that was you, Dave. The question related to stormwater and wetlands. I don't think I asked it.
You do agree, Dan? I don't think.
Did you ask it, Jim? I didn't,
That was that smart.
somebody asked it, but I don't think it was me.
Thought you did. I really.
Yeah, I thought you were
I thought you did, Ann. 'Cause-
for an approval.
but that's okay.
Yeah, you brought the drinking water.
Yeah.
Push you.
You.
Okay.
We'll leave it as stands.
Sure.
Okay. Any others?
That's it.
David, Jim, either one of you?
That was, I read other than line 23 notes.
If no one has any other edits, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 9th, striking in line 23, the fact that Paul Anderson was present. He was present, but that's not relevant to creating a quorum.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Dave, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Jimmy and Dave approved, and Stacy abstained. Next item is receipt of applications. We've received two applications this evening. PZ 2026-16, the applicant owner is Aldi Incorporated, Ira Hospitality Group LLC, is requesting a special use permit for alcohol sales, grocery, beer, liquor permit for Aldi Supermarket located at 151 Prospect Hill Road, map 112, block 4, lot 26, the zone is the HIZ. And PZ 2026-17, the applicant owner is North Winkler EW LLC, requesting a zone change from B3 and A1 to PCDD on a portion of 120 North Road, the map 124, block 24, lot 11. These applications will be heard at a future meeting. We have nothing under performance bonds, actions, permit extensions, or road acceptances. Moving on to continued public hearings. First one is PZ 2026-12. The applicant owner is Paul Dow, is requesting a special use permit site plan review, build a 46 by 32 barn to house a farm store located at 83 Scantic Road, map 75, block 32, lot 1, zone is an R3. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
We have 3 follow-up items from the last meeting.
Please identify yourself for the record, so.
So 83 Scannick Road, along with my wife Jennifer Dow. There was 3 items that we had to follow up on for the committee's question. I think it was 2 weeks ago. One was around the health department and water usage. Did speak with the health department, with Ruth as well. We do have a process that's in place. Essentially, what they told me is, no way we can open until we get our approval. So it's like a 4 to 6 month process because we're gonna have to go through the state. It shouldn't hold anything up here from what we're told by the health department, because they're gonna make us get approval on the well that's there anyway, if we use it in any sense for food service, which we will, whether it's cleaning dishes, toilet, or whatever that might be. But I want to let you know, we spoke with the health department. We have a plan that's in place, and we'll act upon that plan. We'll work with Brian, and I told him I wasn't gonna start the process until we have the approval here. He's on the same page. The other thing was around wetlands. We didn't fully have our wetlands approval. We now have that. We received that a few days after the meeting was complete. And then the final thing that we got our questions on was lights. You should have received a survey today. We had our surveyors update the plan, and we've gone from 2 lights to 4 lights in the parking lot, just so that every corner is covered. Even though we're gonna be seasonal start, I want to make sure we have light at nighttime so people get to the car, especially if probably gonna be hiring high school kids to make sure they get to the cars and get home safe.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, Jimmy, you have any further questions for the applicant?
No, I'm good for now.
Right? Dan,
I'm good with the answer to the well.
Dave?
I'm good with the additional lights. That's what I wanted to be able to see a little bit better.
Good. I read through the notes from last meeting and you addressed everything that was left up in the air. So thanks.
Confusion on the hours of operation from the print to the
Okay,
13. They're gonna be, on the print it shows 8 AM to 9 PM, 6 days a week. Later changing out 8
Like to 8 or something. Or
to 9. Yeah, no, that's good. This matches.
you looking at the new revised print?
Yeah, this one, yeah, well,
Okay, so
I'm good.
we had talked about having anything to do with daylight savings time, but that really is not having to matter so much now that there's additional lighting. So this lighting you're proposing is gonna go in right at the start, not future lighting.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have them, we're doing the parking lot as far as with the gravel, we might as well run lights as well.
I know we had a discussion that if, daylight saving time kicks in, it's dark at 4:30.
You envision probably closing earlier, obviously earlier spring and earlier in fall. Summer will be the time to stay open later just because the sun's out later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any other questions of the applicant?
I do not.
Do not? All right. So this is a public hearing. Does anyone in the audience like to speak on behalf of this application? Mr. Anderson?
Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Frog So I'm still in favor. I was happy in the beginning. Now I'm happy to. I think it warrants approval. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Michael Simon, 1602 Meadowview Drive. I also spoke to this issue at the last meeting and you weren't all here, but I'm also in favor of it. I think it's a great use of our resource, which is farmland in this town.
Anyone else? So for the record, we did receive 2 written comments. Which those,
For the first one,
this one was at the last meeting.
and then we have a new one from Jeff Rodriguez, 14 Sharon Lane, Windsor, Connecticut. And he is against the proposal. He cites traffic and safety risk, loud noise, bright lights. And he sees the recent text amendment for this to be flawed in that it's allowing for produce to come in from 100 miles away and doesn't see that as a benefit in the town.
Okay.
Also points out how to enforce them.
Gotcha. All right, if no one else has any other question, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-12. The applicant is Paul Dow.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Okay.
Public hearing is closed. Okay. Guess we're ready to call for a vote?
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I will make a motion to approve application PZ 2026-12, a special use permit with site plan review for the construction of a 46 by 32 pole barn to house a farm store at 83 Scantic Road, Assessors Map 75, Block 32, Lot 1. Owners Paul Dow and Jennifer Trumpke. the approval is granted subject to and conformance with the reference plans as may be modified by the commission. And the following conditions, the reference plans and conditions are all enclosed in a memo with 18 conditions. The memo is dated June 2nd, 2026, revised June 15, 2026, from Ruth Ann Calabrese, Director of Planning and Community Development, Town Planner, to the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission.
Could I add just one,
Yes, ma'am?
correction to that? The date on the reference plan is now revised 6/23/26.
So what line item is that?
It's the first bullet and
The
reference.
plan set.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion?
I think it's a great asset to the community for generations to come.
Hearing none further, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous, you have your approval.
Orders.
Okay. Next continued public hearing is PZ 2026-13. The applicant is Shelby Real Estate LLC, is requesting a special use permit for the construction of a 9,600 square foot building and parking lot for an auto repair / used car dealership located at 122 South Main Street, map 42, block 5, lot 58. Zone is a TZ5. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Evening. My name is Timothy Kuhn, professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates, here tonight representing Shelby Real Estate. We did make our main presentation at the last meeting. And based on comments that we did receive, we did submit to you a revised plan which added 3 additional trees to the rear of the building, 3 additional perimeter trees as requested. We also submitted a photometric plan and cut sheets for the site lighting. The site lighting is being provided by 5 building mounted fixtures. And these will be LED full cutoff fixtures. As I mentioned, we did provide the cut sheets and the photometric plan, and the photometric plan demonstrates that there will be no light spillover on any property line from the site lighting. With regard to other issues that were raised at the last meeting, one of the issues brought up was traffic. I would just point out that the traffic is really not anticipated to be an issue here. This is really a low intensity use, much lower than the previously approved use, which would have been a garden center. And they'll likely have, I would say, less than 20 customers a day. This is probably a max. So we don't foresee traffic being an issue. There was questions regarding the on-site parking and maneuvering on-site. Shown on the site plan, the parking is located in front of the building on the Route 5 side and also to the north of the building. Could you put up ours because our easel has a broken leg?
Oh.
The layout plan. 3. I can try, sure. Our parking is being provided between the building and Route 5 on the right-hand side of the page. That's fine. You can leave it on that sheet. And also, we have parking in front of the building to the north of the building, or toward the top of the page, which is north. We're providing 24-foot aisles like you would in a standard parking lot. Per section 601.5 of your zoning, we are showing the or with that, which deals with parking requirements for automotive uses. We are identifying and differentiating the employee and customer parking spaces, which are the required parking, which will be around the building, from the display and storage spaces, which will be shown, are shown as the remainder, and they're all called out. And one thing I would point out is that the row of what is currently labeled as storage and display up along the street will be just display. You know, those will be vehicles that are being sold, not necessarily ones that are waiting for service. Okay, just to clarify that. And also based on this, with the 24 aisles or 24-foot aisles, and we've got no parking in front of overhead doors. We believe that, you know, there's adequate maneuverability throughout the site. There's also the ability for emergency vehicles to enter, back up, and leave the site as well. And I would also point out that this is almost an identical layout to what was previously approved at 198 South Main Street a couple of years back. Noise was brought up, and we did mention it at the last meeting. I just want to reiterate that all service and repair that is done at this site will be performed within the building. And most service and repair activities are not noisy to begin with, but if a noisy activity is performed, the doors can be shut to contain the noise within the building. So we don't foresee noise being a main or an issue at the site. There are noise ordinances, as we discussed at the last meeting. If there is, for example, somebody leaving the door open, they can be told to shut that door in order to meet the noise ordinance. Or you could put that as a condition on your approval, that noisy activities be inside and the doors be shut. Okay. I'd also just like to point out that this site is located on Route 5. And there is a fair amount of background traffic noise at the site to begin with. There was also comments regarding drainage. I again would reiterate that there is no discharge of drainage from our site to any abutting properties. All of the runoff will sheet flow or be piped to our proposed infiltration basin, which wraps along the northern and western sides of the site. This infiltration basin has been designed in accordance with the Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual. It's been reviewed and approved by the town engineer. For a larger storm events, it may contain standing water for a short period of time, but then it will infiltrate into the ground. It's designed to infiltrate the water back into the ground. And as I mentioned, it has been reviewed and approved by the town engineer. I think that covers most of the concerns that were raised. We do believe this is a suitable use for this location and a much less intensive use than what was previously approved as the garden center. And we asked that you approve our application this evening. Be happy to answer any questions you got.
Clerk on the floor, and Stacy, you have any questions for the applicant?
Don't at this time.
Dave?
Did we see did the fire marshal comment?
I spoke with the fire marshal. He reviewed the plan again with the deputy marshals, and they really didn't have any issue with the site.
Yeah.
Biggest concern is where people park. If they park in the assigned locations, they should be okay,
Okay,
operational.
okay. Other than that, I'm good for right now, Mike.
Okay, Ann?
Thank you for breaking out, a separate motion to waive the 50-foot buffer, because I think that's key to this. But I have no additional questions right now.
Wayne, you have any questions?
No, do not.
Jim?
So the extra bays that were going to be for rent. What? To who? We don't know.
It would be automotive repair. And I believe that Ruth Ann has added a condition now that if any tenant coming in would have to come back to the commission for approval of their use.
Well, usually that's great here, but in the real world, that never happens. You know that. So if they're gonna rent they're gonna rent till they get caught. That's how it usually works in the real world.
Well, nobody has control over that.
Right?
And you
No.
can't necessarily deny an application based on something that could happen.
I understand that. And two, the noise, you say, oh, they're gonna close the bay doors. That too is probably not gonna.
Again, that can be something, if you want to put that in a condition of approval, it's again, like, I agree with you. It's something that's to be
That's-
released.
That's unforceable. You can't really force that. As Ann, I do have an issue with the 50-foot buffer waiver, so we'll figure that out when we get to that point.
Okay. Forgive me, I wasn't here at the last meeting. I don't see in here listing of hours of operations.
I don't know. I know it was discussed at the last meeting. What did, I
Yes.
believe we mentioned,
8 to 6, just normal hour. Sorry?
Hold on.
You can't see it.
So
I believe it was it was Monday through Saturday.
through Saturday,
Yeah.
8 to 6. Again, with tenant rental space, that's hard to enforce as well because a tenant can say, well, that doesn't fit my operation, what I do. So that may be an issue too. Again, depending with the total of unknown of what's going on as far as tenants that are going to be in there.
I'm not gonna be too many tenant. I'm not planning to rent the whole property. I'm gonna use half of it as a dealership, but the other 4, maybe we have to find the good people. To rent those 4 bay as a helper, as a service or detailing. Not plan to, but just I like to be clear with the town, like in case I wanna rent them out, I don't wanna be having issue down the road. But and our plan is just to dealership and service. I'm not gonna have a lot of people in here. It's my property, my dream dealership. I'm not gonna have it like multi-tenant. 2 tenant in the malls plus me. But we not plan to rent it like bays and just like in and out and no, we will try to keep it clean, quiet, much good.
You have any questions of the applicant? All right, so this is a public hearing. I will go in the order of this list of people signed up. First would be Paul Anderson.
Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Broadbrook. I spoke in favor of this last meeting. Just that slightly and say that I'm in favor of commercial development, just about any kind that fits until it has a negative impact on a butter. I'm not saying it does, but to me, that's where the concern on. And that's where I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carol Dawson.
Carla Dawson, 1101 Middleview Drive. I have some concerns. First of all, I'm not in favor. And my question is, and it's just rhetorical, basically, need more of these dealerships and used car lots do we actually need? I counted in the area, there's 33 presently, and that doesn't include the car auction and all the car carriers that are on Route 5. I exited a place of business. I was trying to exit a place of business one time. There was a car carrier parked on Route 5. It was impossible to see in the direction to the left if any cars were coming. And to me, it's a hazard. There's car carriers everywhere. And there's also a new one going in across the street from Roberto's. How many do we need? I think, especially with one lane of Route 5, one lane in each direction. And that's my concern. And the other locations, there are many, they're not close by residential housing. This is like right in our yard. And 48 feet to be exact. And I'm not in favor at all. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Approach us to
Too many,
confine.
too many car carriers.
Steve O'Brien?
Brian, 804 Meadowview Drive.
Yeah, can I ask you to, there's a microphone at the podium, so at least it'll be better for the recording.
Better than you got. Yeah. I was not intending to say much of anything tonight, but I was really troubled by the comment from, I think, the owner on the tenancy issue. There has been nothing specified that indicates how many of those units are going to be occupied at one time. Maybe 2, but could be all 7. And it's one of those things where I don't have any understanding as to how long a tenancy in the situation is. Is that for 2 weeks to operate on one car? Is it an ongoing tenancy in which multiple cars are going to be moved through the system? I think that changes the looks of what this building is going to be doing immensely. And so I'm against it.
Todd Fraudmeyer?
Todd Fodema, 2002 Meadowview Drive. And this is just for awareness for the board themselves. We have 3 units that directly look upon that property in our complex. The deck of one of them is 31 feet from our fence line. The second one is 43 feet. And then the final one is 49 feet. We have one unit that the primary and guest bedrooms directly face our fence line, which is that abuts that property. The guest bedroom is 48 feet and the primary bedroom is 50 feet from that property fence, our fence. Now, in terms of view, those 3 units that I mentioned with the decks close, overlooking our fence, are going to be able to see directly into that property. And it's not a pretty sight as it is now. There was discussion about a fence being put up, a second fence being put up, and there's no discussion of who would be maintaining that property within the border of our fence to that fence. Also, actually, that was about it. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm not in favor of this.
Sandy Taylor?
I can speak loud enough so they can hear me. I'm concerned about the bays and the timing. We have never been given any time of operation, like when they gotta start working and when they're going to finish in the evening. And then if they do rent out these bays, they have no control over what they might be doing, and they might have altogether different hours. Has control over that. If they're gonna rent them out, they have control. That's my question. And I,
Michael Simons?
Michael Simon, 1602 Meadowview Drive. And I'm not in a butter, but I'm part of the family. And I think if everybody raised their hand from Meadowview, you'll see how many are here tonight. The first item I have is about that issue about the fire trucks. And if you had that picture, the map up there, I'm surprised the fire captain or marshal would pass on that. I doubt a truck can get in there and actually turn around. Unless it's maybe just a little rescue wagon. With 122 cars double parked all over that lot, I doubt if there's that much space. In fact, the owner had mentioned that when they were going to be offloading their car carriers out on Route 5, they're not. I'm sorry. Well, it was stated that they would be like other dealerships. They would be pulled over to the side and they would unload. They would not be backing in out there. Maybe that's changed since 2 weeks ago. The drainage issue, I still don't know where all that drainage goes once it's down in the ground there. I'm not necessarily worried about it coming into our property, although it could, but it will meet down in the common area at the base of the hill behind. There's a catch basin pond down there that will collect all this stuff. And there's wildlife in there right now. And it's, I don't think I would like to come down and see that oily film over that water after a year or two of 122 not quite perfect cars waiting to be worked on and being worked on and car repairs and all that stuff. And they may be able to catch most of the fluid that drops out inside the bays. But what are they going to do with all that fluid outside? The issue about the businesses, it was a little disingenuous when we handed out the form and the picture of the thing. When they showed it, they just showed 3 or 4 bays, not 7. And then we get this shot, we see that it's 7 and they have the bathrooms. I believe that somebody, I've been in business. I would like to tell you that I'll be able to control the businesses and stuff, but once they're rented, they don't have control over those individuals. So, and that's been spoken to before. As the state had done the study for Route 5 a number of years ago, and they made some changes and they widened the space and there are 89 units at Meadowview and at least 35 or 40 houses in Winton Road. And those families are coming and going out of there in school buses and stuff during the day. And it has been coming increasingly longer to be able to get out of or get into that Winton Road from Route 5. There's no light there, which I'm sure it's a good idea to have one. But if you're coming north and you want to turn left onto Winton Road, you have to stop out in the middle of that single lane. And there are a lot of trucks coming north and they want to get to the highway. They've come out of the Amazon place parking lot up there. They've come out of those distribution centers and all the FedEx trucks coming up and they move. And it's scary to sit there and tap your brakes just to let them know you're trying to make this turn. And then when you add a car carrier right there across the street, you've got traffic eating around a little bit to get around them. You increase that danger there at that entrance. As far as the noise level from these units, yes, you can, as this gentleman said, you can tell them they can't do it. But who's going to be policing them? They'll do it until, as the engineer said, until somebody tells them not to. Well, am I going to get up in the middle of after dinner and go over there and ask them to shut the door? Or do I have to call you? Or do I have to call the police department? And I don't want to have to do that. So when those doors are open and there's anything going on, especially with an air tool, that's a megaphone. Each one of those bays is a megaphone. And it happens to be pointed directly at the units that have been mentioned before. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, and I do not.
Nancy Simons?
I'm Nancy Simons. I live at 1602 Meadowview Drive. And to Paul's earlier point, I do believe this endeavor would have a negative impact on the abutters, and I just want to add my voice to that. I'm not in favor of it. It would definitely affect the quality of life, especially if we live closest to that property. And it might even affect the property values of our units. That's I think it's serious. So I'm against it.
That is everyone that signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Could you please come and sign?
I wanted to.
Yes, this is a picture of my second bedroom window. This is what I see now. That's how close I am. So my windows are open. That's how close it is. It's super close. And you can see my deck is right there. And I'm the one that said I'd like to sit out on my deck at night. And if the lights are out there or they're doing the drill thing, and always respect.
Before you really go into your state, please.
Sorry.
And then we'll, yeah,
Oh,
have your name for the record.
yeah, Jill Cunningham, 501. Meadowview. But I'm also worried about our property value going down, especially mine, because I'm right there. And if my property value goes down, I haven't had a lot of good investments in my life. This one was good. I love my community, but to have that in my backyard is, I don't agree at all. So, and I don't think they're gonna hide the lights. And how high are the trees gonna be that they plant? Are they gonna be saplings, and then in 10 years, 20 years, they're gonna be tall enough to block the view? I don't think so. So I do not approve.
That. Okay. Any news?
Lois, I'm sorry.
Lois Coffey, 905 Meadowview Drive. Curious, I understood from what I heard the attorney say that had approval at another location, 190 something, apparently for whatever reason that fell through. This is not much further from that. The thing that really annoys me, and I'm not in favor of this at all, the back of our unit, abuts the fence. We have more distance, but nonetheless, when we sit on our deck, that's what we see. Very curious about the nature of the construction. Why in the world, when Flower Power is on the other side of their building, why would the building not turned around so that they're going to be these bays for cars to go and out of? They're going in and out from the other side, not on the side of a community. So to me, the construction is bad to begin with. Secondly, I fully agree with our neighbors who have spoke to the issue of noise. There's no way that this cannot be noisy. If these and this is a new thing to me, I did not realize that these bays were going to be rented out. So we don't know. My initial thought was, well, someone's going to rent it for 3 hours. Now it sounds like somebody could rent it out for a month and do car repairs for a month at any hour. So there would really not be any control in that situation. I think this is a very, very poor idea for that section of Route 5 when there are far more open areas that do not abut housing. And a residential area, I might add, that as many elderly people, we're becoming those people. This has been their home for years. People have lived there, for 35 years. And now all of a sudden we're going to have banging and pounding. And I know that they think that the noise can be controlled, but if you're fixing a diesel engine, I would challenge you to control that noise. I mean, it's not going to happen. Again, I am not in favor of this project.
Thank you.
David Clark.
Hi, David Clark, 2305 Meadowview Drive. I did not intend to speak tonight until I heard the applicant speak. I own residential real estate that I rent out, and I do my best to screen my tenants very carefully before I sign a lease to them. I don't know that this is going to happen here. We're putting them, in to manage this whole process. Once the tenants get in there, you lose all control. And it would take us to kind of police their tenants by either coming to this board or coming to the town or coming to the police department with noise complaints. So that kind of changed my whole thought process on this. I would also convey the same issues that the rest of my fellow homeowners have. Safety is a huge issue. When you're trying to exit Winton Road to either go northbound or southbound on Route 5, if there's a car carrier parked in front of Nona's, now this is going to be even closer to Winton Road. You cannot see any traffic that's heading south on Route 5. You're taking your life into your hands. And likewise, somebody mentioned that when we're we're going north on Route 5, trying to turn left into Winton Road, it's very, very dangerous, very risky. I find myself actually going up an exit and coming back all the way around to avoid that risk. And then the last question I have is maybe a little bit more clarification on that retention pond or where all that runoff water is going to go. How are we to be certain that that is not going to leach back into our groundwater that will affect our complex? And again, I would say I am not in favor of this proposal as it stands.
Carol Schwartz.
303 Meadowview Drive.
I don't think we'll be able to hear you. Please go.
Three 303 Meadowview Drive. I'm concerned about the lighting. I'm concerned about everything that has already been mentioned, but I haven't heard much about the lighting. And because this is a residential neighborhood right next door, we are going to be impacted on whatever is happening there. And I also, if part of it is rented out, how is that retention pond? I mean, anything could happen with those that are renting that space as far as runoff and what they're putting in there. So those are my issues, and I am not in favor of this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Garth Cooper, 2503 Meadowview Drive. I agree with my neighbors. I'm not in favor of this, but I also wanted to bring up the question of chemicals. A business like this is going to use a lot of chemicals, car paints, gas, all that stuff that goes, and we're going to go sit on our porch and try and enjoy a leisurely dinner or evening, and we're going to be breathing in all those chemicals. So there's a lot of reasons. I understand you want a business, but there are better businesses to put next to a residential area. Thank you.
Let's go. There you go.
No, what I would like to do, it's Susan DeFazio, 105 Meadowview. I reiterate everything that my fellow neighbors have said, and I reiterate everything that my neighbors have said, and I'd just like it to go on record how many people are here from Meadowview, and is anybody here in favor of this building being built? If you're against it, please raise your hand.
Yes.
This is why we're here today, because it's a quality of life issue. Noise, air pollution, it's not what you want in your backyard. And I can honestly say, anybody who doesn't live there, if they did, would they want that there? I doubt it. So we're not against having something there, but that's not the kind of business that we would prefer to have as neighbors.
Does anyone have anything new that hasn't been said already?
Dawson. One thing that I didn't mention, my backyard looks right into Flower Power's land. And many times when they're bringing products in or unloading trucks and moving equipment or using their equipment, you constantly hear that beep, beep, beep. And like, there's been times I've sat outside and it's a constant stream of that noise. And I can only imagine with the heavier equipment backing up. And again, it's the noise level, but just compounded by having Flower Power there. And then this, which again, I'm in favor.
Michael Simon, 1602 Meadowview, and I just wanted to bring up, beep, beep, beep was, coincidental to what I was gonna say. A year or so ago, as has been brought up, when highway work was being done out on 91, I think, the milling was being dropped off on this particular lot. And I don't believe that a permit was ever asked for or given for them to be able to dump that toxic material on the lot. And it sat there. And of course, they did it over several nights of, it's a drop site. And the dump trucks were in there and they were really obnoxious and they kept all of us awake. With the banging of the back door after they're done and the backing up and getting out. And then, of course, the issue of that milling is going to remain there, as I understand it from Ms. Russo's, the engineering firm. And they're going to use that as part of the surface on the back. Is there any environmental test that's been done on this load that's been put there, which could, who knows what's in that material? So I just thought I'd bring that up. It was done without permission and it may, unfortunately, if it's left there, even if this business is denied, and I'm not against the business, I'm just against not having an appropriate type business in that lot. I just think this is this project is just overstuffed with things that is too close to a larger population of people. None of the other dealerships have large neighborhoods right next to abutting them, with the exception possibly that small trailer park across from 7-Eleven. But no other areas have as many housing units or single family houses that close. So I think this is not an appropriate zone change for this type of business. And I'd like to see a different kind of business go in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Simon, 1602 Meadowview Drive. A couple of people have mentioned the retention pond on our property and possibility that it might be contaminated with some kind of chemical spill. And I just want to make everyone aware that, of course, that retention pond drains into the Connecticut River. So that's eventually where anything like that would.
Anyone else? Tim, I guess I've been trying to cut it right down. I saw you taking notes too, so.
Yes. So if you like, I can go through what I wrote down, and if I miss something, if you want to. Yep, so one of the first things that was brought up with regard to other dealerships not located near residential, there are actually other dealerships, which I probably should have brought up earlier, that ACI Auto down at ACI Auto at 206 South Main Street. Abuts a residence, and that actually was another location where the commission did waive and reduce the buffer to 50 feet. So that has happened before, it does exist and was approved previously. With regard to tenants, The owner will have control over tenants. And one thing about this particular location is the owner's going to be there every day. So the owner will be able to police his own tenants, and obviously will have restrictions, can put restrictions in their leases, for hours, and for anything, for keeping the doors closed. That is something that he can have control over, and he's going to be there, so he will be able to police that. There was with regard to the fence and the distance to the units, the 3 units that are close are actually located off of this corner up in this area. Their fence, which they said, I guess some of those units are as close as 31 feet to that fence. That fence is actually an additional 25 to 30 feet from the property line. That fence is not on the property line. The fence that we are proposing will be along the property line, a foot or 6 inches off of the property line. The area that is in between the 2 fences will actually be their property for them to maintain. So that's just to clarify that about the fence and the distance. That distance is there. What else do we got? With regard to car carriers, I think we had a discussion about that last time. The cars that are brought to the site are typically going to be driven or driven by or brought in by smaller trailers, not your large car carriers. There's no car carriers going to be parked on Route 5 are anticipated. The building's facade, there was a question, and I think we were upfront at the last meeting with when we showed the building elevation or the photograph of the building, that one only had, it shows, I believe, 3 bays, and we were upfront. We were always telling you there were going to be more bays than that. So someone questioned the lighting again. I just reiterate that our photometric plan demonstrates there will be no light spill over any property line from our site lighting. With regard to chemicals, all the chemicals will be indoors and used indoors. Again, this is not an auto body shop. I don't believe there'll be any painting.
No paint at all. Don't deal with paint.
So that's chemicals is not anticipated to be an issue. There about backup alarms, other than during construction, where you're going to have to anticipate there will be some heavy equipment on site during construction, during regular business hours. They are not going to have heavy equipment at the site with backup alarms.
Diesel, also.
No diesel. So there is not going to be backup alarms going on and off every day. And with regard to the millings use, millings is an acceptable product for use in parking lots. It's not a regulated product. And really it's the asphalt that is in millings is not mobile. So it doesn't really pose a threat for being going downstream. That's all I've got. Do you have any other?
Pretty good. I got 2 more.
Okay. What else you got?
There was a question about the size of the planting of trees.
Okay.
So based on what you have on your drawing, you have in your detail.
Our trees, our perimeter trees are going to be 3-inch caliper at time of planting, which is what your regulation calls for.
And
then our interior, we've got a few
drawing says approximately 8 feet tall. On the cut sheets on
the cut sheet.
Page 8 of 8.
On the detail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not, it would probably depend on the type of tree, what 3-inch caliper and height is, but the 3-inch caliper is your requirement, and that's what we're proposing.
Probably the other big item, there was a lot of discussion about runoff, where, I mean, your drawings really don't show you're planning on having any runoff. It's all sheet drainage and infiltration, or?
Other than the front parking lot, there is one catch basin in the front parking lot because we don't have the elevation to sheet flow it from the all the way from the southern property line to our basin. So we will be collecting in a catch basin and piping that portion to our infiltration basin. The rest of it will just be sheet flow across the pavement. We are proposing a level spreader, which is basically it's a stone strip at the edge of our parking lot so that it eliminates any potential for erosion when the water leaves the parking lot and has to go down into the basin. So all of our runoff is directed to that basin, either by sheet flow or piping. And then it is going to go into the water table, which is where the rainfall that falls on the site goes now, into the water table. So will be no increase in runoff, in volume, if you will, that goes into the water table, because that's where all the rainfall goes now.
Based on your elevations, it's going to be about a 3-foot deep basin.
It's going to be 3 feet. It will be maintained as lawn. Actually, during, I believe, the 2-year storm event, our calculations show the maximum water elevation at the peak to be about 3/4 of an inch of standing water in the basin. During the 100-year storm event, during the peak, I believe it gets to 1 1/4 foot. But it is designed to basically infiltrate into the ground and be empty within 42 hours, which is meets the DEEP's requirement of 48 hours drain drawdown time.
It's truly a retention pond, not a detention pond.
Right.
But there's no discharge point that's correct. They're after detention. Those are all public comments. Does anyone on board have any further questions?
Not further questions.
It's okay. So, I guess.
Going about 9:05. Thank
Sir, could you put you? Okay.
So I'm confused. Hearing now about fence. I don't understand the concept of this fence. You need to explain that. Number two, any consideration to a highway noise barrier fence that'll be 10, 15 feet high and block everything? We don't see anything. We don't necessarily hear anything. But the fence that you're talking about, it's going to come in from our fence. And you said we're responsible for maintaining that little alleyway between two fences, or am I confused?
So our fence is going to be
Why don't you point it out on the?
Yeah. Our fence is going to be a 6-foot high, solid vinyl fence along the property line.
So where is that different than what we have now?
Your fence is located on your property approximately, it varies,
Right.
20 to 30 feet from the property line. So this area between the property line and the fence is your property and yours to maintain. Our new fence will be at the property line.
So it's going to be lower than our fence or higher than our fence?
It's probably going to be, so at our property line, the elevation varies. It's around 62. Your fence at this elevation, the ground surface is 64. Here it's about 63. Here it's about 62. So it's.
And the purpose of you putting a fence is what?
Is to buffer, provide a buffer between our.
I don't see that as a buffer. It's just adding another one of our fences. Your fence is going to be comparable to our fence. So I'm completely against this whole idea, totally against it.
Okay.
Yes, please, thank you.
Anything else you need?
I'd like to have a discussion about the waiver on buffer. So this brings me back thinking about the application we had for a rented venue space and a 50-foot buffer from residential. And the issue there again was with it being a rental space, you never knew what was coming in there. So we had to err on the side of what's the worst case scenario that could happen. And I kind of have a feeling we're facing a very similar situation.
I totally agree with you that it has a lot of similarities to the other case with a unknown abutting neighbors. But I see this even more troubling in the reducing the buffer in that you have a line of parked cars right
Within the buffer?
within the buffer. And those cars contain batteries, oil, gasoline, and you have residents not very far away. So I am concerned about noise and I'm concerned about cars parked on the, I guess that'd be the northern part of the parking lot.
Tim, do you have it noted on the map where the 50-foot mark is?
Believe that it's
Yeah.
right at it's at the back, a foot off of the parking. It's kind of underneath the edge of that stone level spreader, so that makes it difficult to show, but it's right at the back of that part. It's two of them. Through the dark on the line.
But my concern is the regulations call for 100-foot and we'd be reducing it. Knowing those cars are all parked right there.
I would point, you have done that in the past.
So Joel 6 South Main, I'll be honest, we missed it because we didn't know about the waiver. That's what happened there. This time we gotta bring it up and mention it. We caught it this time.
So I would also
Yeah.
mention Soapy Noble's Car Wash. We reduced the buffer there to 50 feet from a residential property. United Ag and Turf at 119 South Main Street was reduced, as well as the Silverman Group at 12 South Main.
Every case is different.
I agree with you, every case.
And in those cases, we knew what the activity was going to be.
You do have control over the activities here. It's a dealership with repair, and then his tenants are going to be coming back to you to get their use approved.
Realistically, this
There was,
noise ordinance.
there was one other question that was raised that forgot to add into it. Somebody mentioned about why not spin the building and have the bays facing the opposite direction, facing south instead of north.
The main reason we did that is so that we could get the drainage to the basin by sheet flow across the front of it, from the building that way.
It's not possible to grade it the opposite direction and
It would-
create the basin on
it
the
would-
side or.
It would, if it would require, I think it would require probably just filling the site more to raise it and regrading it to get the water to go out and around to get to the back. It wouldn't necessarily be sheet flow, but
Sheet flow is also a lot cheaper than in the ground.
Than a
yeah.
infrastructure. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Even if you were to change that around, you're still having the problem with the 50-foot buffer. So you haven't solved the problem by moving the building. You still have the problem.
I also want to reiterate, I believe what I mentioned last time, that based on the width of this lot, if you impose a 100-foot buffer, it essentially makes it unbuildable.
I think realize that during the last meeting, we said not every lot's buildable. Some lots aren't buildable.
All right. I'll You don't have anybody on, there's nobody on. Oh, okay. Nobody's got anything else? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-13. The applicant is Shelby Real Estate LLC.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Public hearing is closed. So. We actually have two motions. So first motion would be for the reduction of the buffer. Does anyone want to make a motion on the reduction of the buffer?
I'll make a motion, and just so everybody understands, we always make the motions in the affirmative and then we vote. I'll make a motion to approve the request for a 50-foot waiver to the 100-foot buffer requirement between commercial and residential uses per section 600.2, landscape buffer requirements related to application PZ 2026-13, special use permit with site plan review for the construction of a 9,600 square foot building and associated site improvements for the use as a used car dealership and repair located at 122 South Main Street, Assessors Map 42, Block 5, Lot 58, owner Shelby Real Estate LLC.
There's a motion to approve the buffer waiver. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Buffer is not granted. So without the granting of the buffer, as the applicant has said, he doesn't believe it's buildable. So do we still even bother putting a motion for the application itself? Okay. We can take a vote on the motion itself. So I'll entertain a motion on the application.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve application PZ 2026-13, a special use permit with site plan review for construction of a 9,600 square foot building and associated site improvements for use as a used car dealership and repair located at 122 South Main Street, Assessors Map 42, Block 5, Lot 58, owner Shelby Real Estate LLC. The approval is granted subject to and conformance with the reference plans as may be modified by the commission. And the approval motion contains 20 conditions. 21, I'm sorry, 21 conditions, all listed in a memo dated June 1st and revised June 15th to the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission from Ruth Ann Calabrese.
We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay. Unanimous against. We still have two more items to address, so if you don't want to stay, please quietly.
So.
I didn't see it in my car. Yeah, it's true. You know, you are. You know where to find it. Where's your other sheet?
Okay. Next on our agenda is new public hearing PZ 2026-15. The applicant is Leal Hines, executrix, has submitted a re-subdivision application to create one residential building lot located at 55 Rockville Road, map 39, block 64, lot 21, zone is an R3. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Evening, Mark Peterson, professional engineer, Gardner and Peterson Associates in Tallinn, Connecticut. Speaking for the applicant. Here this evening to ask for a re-subdivision approval at 55 Rockville Road to create one new building lot. The parcel is on the east side of Rockville Road, just north of the Barbaro Hill Road intersection. Contains 300 feet of frontage and is an acre and a half in size. Currently, the parcel has an existing residence. The residence is served by a septic system and a private well. We're proposing a new lot to the north of the existing house. Each of the lots are compliant with your R3 zoning regulations and will each contain 150 feet of frontage and be 3/4 of an acre in size. I've completed the soil testing with the health department for the code compliant area for the existing house, demonstrated suitability for proposed septic system for the new lot. We've also included in our plans a complete set of sedimentation erosion controls. So they're both shown in plan view and in detail. Since this is a re-subdivision application and due to the limited size of the property, we're going to proposing a fee in lieu of open space. Also with this application, we are asking for two waivers. The waivers include paying a fee in replace of construction of a sidewalk. There are no sidewalks in the area of 55 Rockville Road, and we would offer to pay a fee in lieu of that. And we're also asking for a waiver for streetlights. There is no streetlight directly in front of these lots, but there is a streetlight approximately 300 feet to the south on Rockville Road and 100 feet to the north of this property on Rockville Road. So with that, I'd be happy to take on any questions the board may have.
Jimmy, have anything?
You've done this before, huh?
I was here for one fairly similar a year or two ago.
I got nothing.
There's a copy from the health department. Take one and pass it down. Okay, Wayne, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Do not.
Ann?
Did you get any comments from the town engineer?
Yes. Yep, yes, no exceptions.
Okay.
Anything else, Ann?
No, I'm just reading what the health department
That was
said.
the one item that was pending.
Oh, is it approval?
Yeah, there'll be a review process to go through before building the house, but the preliminary assessment of site conditions. It could support.
Okay.
If it would be engineered.
Okay. No questions then.
Okay, Dave?
No, sir, no questions.
Stacy?
No questions.
I really just have one that's more of a procedural. So since we're doing a motion for streetlights, sidewalks, do we need a separate motion for open space as well? Or is that just
I
being,
put it as a condition of approval. Condition 5, conditions which must be met prior to conditions. Oh, no, that's the
no,
sidewalk.
that's sidewalks. I don't see open space.
Got it.
As a condition?
Yep, this can be met prior to the issuance of the charter. Move 8 up.
Item number 14? Is that, you're saying there or?
Or 8, for the
Or-
final,
oh.
I put it in as 8. Or we could replace number 7. So that's all happened.
Oh, great. Okay, and what would it say?
A fee in lieu of open space,
A fee in lieu of will be paid,
yeah, will be paid
yeah.
the 2,000, we know it's 2,000 for that.
We're waiving the street light as well?
It's a different.
That's a separate motion, yeah.
Yep.
In this, and so. Space. That was the only item that I saw on here that was lacking, so. Pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
so nobody has anything else. I'll entertain a motion on the waiver of streetlights.
I'll make a motion to waive requirements of 6.5 streetlights for application PZ 2026-15 for a one-lot subdivision at 55 Rockville Road.
We have a motion for the waiver of streetlights. Do we have a second? This is not a public hearing.
Says it.
I am so sorry. I thought this was a straightforward hearing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He's got chairman fatigue.
Yeah, this,
It happens.
Next time, right?
okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience that'd like to make a comment on this application?
Yeah. Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Crossroad. Yeah, let them have it.
Thank you for procedural, because we would have to go back and redo it. That's your first mistake you made, yeah, first.
First one up.
Is it time to step?
No,
I'm allowed one strike?
right.
Okay. If there are no one else from the, yes, sir.
Quick question, is this just for establishment of the building lot, not its contents?
Correct.
Yes.
This is just separating off the property.
So
Yes. Thank you for my comment. All right. There's nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-15.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. I need a break.
It was in the small print, you didn't see it. Back to our record.
I got too much paper here. Okay, then let's move on to a motion for waiver of streetlights.
Okay, I'll make a motion to waive the requirements of 6.5 streetlights for application PZ 2026-15 for a one-lot subdivision at 55 Rockville Road.
We have a motion to waive the streetlight requirement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next, I'll entertain a motion for fee in lieu of sidewalks.
I'll make a motion to allow for the payment of a fee in lieu of sidewalks for application PZ 2026-15 for a one-lot re-subdivision at 55 Rockville Road. Owner applicant Lee L. Haynes, executrix.
We have a motion to accept fee in lieu of on sidewalks. Do we have a second?
Yes.
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion on the lot subdivision.
Make a motion to approve PZ 2026-15 for a one-lot re-subdivision at 55 Rockville Road, East Windsor, Connecticut. Assessors map 39, block 64, lot 21, zoned R3. Owner applicant Lee L. Haynes, executrix. The reference plans, the finding that the re-subdivision satisfies applicable requirements of the East Windsor subdivision, and 13 conditions are in a memo from Ruth Calabrese. But we are going to strike condition number 7 and replace that with the fee in lieu of open space will be paid.
We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. You have your approval.
Thank you.
Okay.
Public hearing.
Let's try this one more time.
Never use that 4 in one night.
You're gonna take copies of that video and I'm gonna never see that. End of it. Okay, we have the next public hearing, PZ 2026-14. The applicant is the Town of East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission is requesting a text amendment to section 203 definitions, section 502 permitted uses in a business and industrial zone, and new section 502.6 middle housing of East Windsor zoning regulations. Okay, so this is something that was driven by Public Act 25-1 by the state that is kind of requiring us to address middle housing. And this is what Ann and Mike put together to meet those regulations. So you want to take us through it?
Sure. Okay, so, the Public Act went into effect in January. The summary review, meaning review against the regulations, no public hearings. We had for middle housing, which middle housing is, housing that's defined here in transit communities or transit housing development. The residential building containing not less than 2 dwelling units, but not more than 9 such units, including but not limited to townhouses, duplexes, triplexes, perfect sixes, cottage clusters, and mixed-use development, which is development containing both residential and non-residential uses. These be allowed, or effective July 1st, are allowed in any commercial or mixed-use zone. So that's B1, 2, and 3. It's BZ5. It's Warehouse Point. 4 in transition. Did I miss any?
HIC?
All HIC.
HIC.
So all but, it wouldn't go to N1. And it's not required in the residential zone. So middle housing, as I just recently, we got some guidance on how to write these regs today. From the pod. Middle housing was basically eliminated after World War II. Middle housing being those
Small.
types of units that were not in between a single family residence and a multifamily residence is this middle, the 2 to 9 units. So now 2 to 9 units allowed by summary review by way in any of those business zones. So these regulations put some guidelines in place. The changes in here are meant to get a rigorous review without a meeting the regulation to get something that's tasteful and good for the community. So the changes include the definition of middle housing taken from guidance materials and Public Act. In the use chart, added middle housing, under summary review. Summary review is listed under the table now. And then the new section. 502.6. We did carve out a lot of them, some of the notes. We recently did an amendment to the notes on residential. Note 6. We really carved a lot out of that with a recent amendment, then took more out. Saying this thing, how much of that should remain? There's one section I just wanted to ask the commission about when we're going through that note 6. The commission may authorize a special use permit, inspection of the residential in structures separate from the commercial space, provided that it says the total square footage less than 25% of the total square footage provided. That is. 6, note 6. And it says all the requirements of section 802 of these regulations regarding multi-family residential development are satisfied. And I would, think that could.
Note 6 of what section?
Yeah, what section?
To the use chart, a note on the use chart. I'm
Page
sorry.
48. Zoning reg page 48, it says 6 and 14 in the scan.
Okay.
Highlighted in blue.
It didn't print the 6 until it was on the previous page on here.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Oh. Okay, so your question is, do we want to leave this in here? Is that,
We're suggesting, I don't have that. Striking. Note 6.
In its entirety?
Together.
So, 802 is the multifamily development district. So this is, so the commission's gonna authorize the construction of a residential unit in a space separate from a commercial. And it's saying, but you have to meet all the standards
Of a
of 802, which is a multifamily development district. So I don't, I'm not sure how a single unit could qualify for the standards of the.
Didn't make sense.
I mean, so you obviously, you pulled this from somewhere else, right?
This is existing.
This is existing right
Yeah.
now? Yeah. Because I was trying to think of, okay, if they wanted to have some type of a management office or, you know, like a property manager's dwelling or something as part of this middle housing unit.
Yeah, but this
But
is,
that's-
this was the original.
Yeah, so this hadn't really, this came in prior to middle housing existing.
And it's just one,
Exactly.
it's just one unit.
Yeah.
Because once you go to 2, then you're middle housing. I mean, to us, when we looked at it, it was an old reference that is now pointing to a section that is no longer applicable to what.
Mm-hmm.
And that 6 is not footnoted anywhere in the table?
It is
So we have
If you
to,
get,
residential,
There were.
note 6.
oh, I see.
okay. So we'd have to strike the footnote and strike the entire note 6, but then we go on to 7. So all the notes basically have to get renumbered then
Yep,
after that.
yep. And we're proposing to delete 13 as well.
Oh, that was with the,
But if you strike all of 6, then you lose,
public sewer and water shall be provided.
yeah, and all those other things.
So Right. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know that we wanted,
I think we'd be striking the language just from B.
So leave 6 and just get rid of
RP.
Yeah.
subset B there that's highlighted in blue.
That's the one that references. That's one. Yeah. Also, the one that's there has, says
Okay.
strike,
Yeah,
but I think it's pointing just to this.
just to that. You're right. You're right. So I had all my different copies and was looking at it over. Like I was finished and said that.
Okay,
I'm like,
mistakes can be made tonight.
My
All right,
computer's
so-
up for a month for this now.
Still, put me in my papers.
the line of,
so it's very,
The online
Strike
version
it.
says
Yeah.
strike it for the blue.
Strike it.
it's very confusing because you go A, B, C, and
and then
then you have an A, B under it.
You see how there's the black lines in the margin? That's showing that there's an adjustment in the track changes for the formatting, so the clean version will probably show correctly. Because you can see the black lines, that means that something was done there, right? And we won't leave it that way. ABC and then AB,
Yeah, it's like,
And
it doesn't work for me.
well, we want to strike B,
B.
correct.
B, that's the hang B off of nothing.
the one that's in blue, yeah.
Just,
And then all of 13.
correct. Yeah. Which is again, tying specific standards to,
Mixed use.
Yeah.
right, which then would just conflict with what you're, right? And so that note 13, for instance, table. Terrific, looks on the table.
It's not on the table anymore.
Yeah. It's not even noted on the table. It's a note that's not noted.
But it might be referenced somewhere else.
Is that a?
Is that 13? You need a magnifying glass to tell.
It says that it was added in 18.
Looks
But
like,
if the numbering is off by 1.
I think somebody needs to check all the notes and make sure they numbers for land in the table somewhere.
Don't see a note.
It's one, I can't find a one. No, there's a one.
See the 1, I don't see a 2, I don't see a 3. So,
We see a 3, it's under a veterinarian.
okay,
I don't,
okay.
See a
Oh, I
4.
see 2 is under alcohol sales, okay.
oh, okay. I'm not seeing 4, but doesn't mean it's not right here.
4 is under restaurants on the left side of the page.
Oh, okay.
Then it's certainly not needed.
might be, yeah.
Has anyone seen Pet Shop?
Yeah, 5 is about pet shops, but I don't
See
I don't
pet,
see any pet shop as a listed use.
oh, it's dog, pet grooming, pet shop, retail,
Right.
but it
But there's no,
doesn't have the.
oh, it has it
It is
under the M1,
It is.
there that it has a
one.
5.
Yep, okay.
Not permitted in M1, okay. All right,
I'll go on the hot 13, 12, and as far as 12, 14. Oh, 13. HIZ.
HIZ for what?
Residential.
Residential use in HIZ is 13.
Gotta go. Under HIZ. Residential has note 6 and 13. for
Oh,
HIZ.
that's
Okay,
because
that's an old table.
No, because
No?
well, that's yeah, okay, this makes sense. We didn't make a mistake. The current regs say SUP 13. We are changing it to summary review. So we're
Okay.
striking
So
the
we're
note because it's
No
no longer.
no
a
longer
special
special
permit.
use permit, now it's summary review. Wow.
Full
There you go.
circle.
Well,
Word is terrible at tracking changes in tables. It doesn't, so if you're adjusting anything like that,
Debauchery.
it doesn't, you can't, it's. Okay. Not crazy.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, this is all this new section 502.6.
They touch on what we wanted to strike.
sure.
So one of the things that sort of as I go through and work on all these regs in other places, as we refine, something that I'm suggesting we strike would be from 2C, number 2, under the table. It says mixed-use development, and then it's the definition. So I'm recommending that delete in any single building. You could have something like Pasco where you have commercial building and a residential building and they're separate structures. So deleting those would clarify that mixed use can be in one building or multiple buildings.
So you just want to just get those last words in any single building?
So then mixed use development would be a development containing both residential and non-residential uses.
Okay.
So the section itself talks about setting up the design requirements, where the middle housing would be allowed, goes through all those zones that I looked at earlier. The definition of middle housing, which Mike just pointed out, the mixed use development portion of that to be tweaked, and then the review process. So the applicants need to be submitted in a manner as determined by the commission, and it goes through the requirements of, a complete application form, the site plan depicts property lines, the structure, parking, lighting, utilities, applicable setbacks, landscaping, and it's going back to section 900.3. Requirements, an erosion and sedimentation control plan that meet the most recent standard by building elevations, which demonstrate compliance with the design criteria that's established, floor plans, stormwater management, and approval from the health department. And the commission is the one evaluating the application through a summary review process. And there's no special permit required, no variance or conduct of a public hearing in that process. And upon review, the only way an application might end up being denied is for impact on public health and safety that can't be mitigated.
Okay.
Like, do you want to go through the development standards?
Sure. So starting on page, what's 10 of 14, I think is what's online. It's page 52.
Yep.
It's development standards. So these are, the sort of the traditional setbacks, coverage, and development requirements. In any instance where the standard exists in the regs, we've carried it over. And then for ones where standards that you may choose to establish or you want to think about establishing or not, there are additional lines in there that I think are the intent is to have some discussion on some of those. So you'll see those where those blanks are. I've had commissions adopt this table and it's 19 and 20, 21 rows, and others it's 7. You're going to have to revise this regulation at some point very soon. The intent here, frankly, is because of the time constraint with the state, we're setting the bar as high as we can reasonably. Then someone can come in, a developer, a property owner can say, okay, I've read your regulations. Here's what I want to do. It's not reasonable. And they might propose an amendment or you can work with them. But if we don't set the bar high, you're going to be left with a potential gap and you're looking at a project that doesn't meet sort of what your expectations were. So this may feel really, really different than the rest of what we've got here, but it's because you can't tell someone, well, I don't think that's enough. We don't like the way that looks. That's not appropriate. It's not adequate. All of those subjective terms go out the window with the summary review. So if you can't point to a specific standard, everybody on this commission would know exactly what that means. It can't be included.
Isn't the effective date July 1st of this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and certainly in other towns, we have seen that some developers have been paying attention to this and trying to sort of gauge
loophole.
Or if you don't meet the July 1 deadline and they don't like what you adopt, then as long as they submit ahead of July 1, they're not so. The idea is to not get in the way of this and end up in a situation where it doesn't matter what regulation you have on July 2nd, because the application that isn't going to meet it came on July 1st.
Yeah.
So, we've got the traditional setbacks, multiple principal buildings, again, clarifying that you might build 2 buildings that have residential units and maybe there's an existing commercial unit in the front, or maybe you have, mixed use. So similar to Pasco, that is the 2 types of housing that we define, mixed use and transit community. And then we've got the setbacks, all of which, again, if they're existing, are current for what the regulations have today already. We're not changing those. And then building coverage, impervious coverage. We then have, again, a suggested line, which is 7, which is accessory building maximum. So some places like to regulate how big an accessory building, so that would be like a garage, detached or something like that, can be. It does border in the realm of maybe being a little bit picky. So if it feels like, I don't know that we need to worry about that, I think you're okay to not, but some places will try to set that ratio. We then have parking and detached garage location. So as shown here, the proposed would be you could carry over rear yard. That would
take that.
Yeah, so you move that over. Some places are intentional in saying we don't want it in the side yard. Some places are only focused on prohibiting it in the front yard. So you could add side yard to that if you thought it was okay to have it in the side. Permitted vehicular access would be curb cuts.
Well, one just quick second. So like if we're looking at our example, under A, the duplex unit, it's got the garages in the front.
Yes, so when I wrote this and when we started talking about it, when I reference parking, to me, that's like surface parking lots, parking spaces. So something that we've added would be the word common parking.
Okay.
So because yes, if you have a front load
driveway,
yes,
you're allowed to park in your driveway.
What we're trying to do is get parking lots out of the front yard and make that either green space or bring the buildings closer to the road and get parking.
So parking is going to be listed as common parking.
So, right, if you add that to 8, common parking and detached garage.
Yeah.
Then it sort of clarifies if you have a driveway into the unit, that's not what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
But then we go into 9, which is permitted vehicular access. And so wouldn't have a situation where you have a triplex or a fourplex that has each their own driveway, where you have just driveway grass, because we wouldn't allow individual curb cuts per unit.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about the driveways in that first line because we're limiting the curb cuts in the next one. So, most places carrying over one there. Some towns have ordinances and other things that talk about where you can put a driveway, how many cuts you can have. But again, from a design standpoint, having it in there
Right.
makes it clear.
Go back to minimum side setback. In a B1, it's 15 feet. So what bothers me is if you are like in Scantic, where it's kind of houses, but it's zoned business. Someone could infill 15 feet from your house, basically.
Yes, they could,
That-
but they would be doing that with a mixed use or residential only development. So they would be building residential.
But right, I mean, the people today have, I don't know what for side setback. And all of a sudden,
But right now, commercial is allowed there to 15 feet.
oh, it is.
Yeah, so it's just those 5 little villages that have that little section of B.
Which is those little tiny things. That's
The intent was good 80 years ago.
But I'm not sure it's, I think they'd freak if someone wanted to build 9 units 15 feet from their house.
Yeah, but I mean, in the B1, someone could
I would.
a restaurant 15 feet from their house now.
Yeah.
So that's more an issue of maybe we need to adjust zoning.
Yeah, I'm not sure those should be businesses anymore, business zoned in those little, because they're tiny. And if you can do something 15 feet from somebody's house.
Also be little towns at one time.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
Well, it's 15 feet from the property line,
Yeah.
and then they are not on the property line
But
either,
some-
but
maybe.
if they couldn't have been closer than 15 feet, so at minimum, you're looking at 30-foot separation.
Number 10 is minimum overall height. Some places, in some zones, in certain communities, it's really important to them that they sort of match the existing sort of development context. And so building a 1-story development in an area where you have maybe older historical buildings that are closer to the street and maybe are 2 or 3 stories, they're trying to match that. You know, they might set a minimum saying that all new projects have to be at least 2 stories or whatever. Probably not necessary in the B3 or on Route 5 in places where it's all over the place, but it may be something worth considering in our House Point, for example, because we're trying to take a more of a form-based approach to that, and you want to kind of match that street line, but not critical. If you feel like a 1 level, you know, these types of developments can all be in 1 level, that's fine. That would be something you didn't need to adopt. Max is carried over from whatever the existing zoning regulations are. And then 12 is required building separation. So that is establishing a distance between the buildings on the property. So wanting to have 15, 20, 25 feet between each building so that they're not sort of really close together.
They separated the distance between the max height of the building. Next
Sep-
to, like.
separation should be
separate them
equivalent to
from
the
wall,
height.
like, yeah.
So if it falls down, it doesn't.
Land on the other building?
Right.
So I mean,
Seen it written.
yeah, the taller the building, the bigger the separation.
And a lot of places do that.
Down, it's a much.
Graduated setback based on.
Run the bar for building.
We're talking
Yeah.
2 buildings.
Yeah, but, okay, so again, if fire apparatus has to get in and you have a 3-story building, just to be able to get their equipment at the right angle and everything, you need
30 feet.
a larger separation than you would a single level.
Well, so think about this. I don't foresee a situation where you're going to have someone build a triplex and then 15 feet and then a triplex. And I don't think that really would work from a light, windows, probably building fire code issues, et cetera. To me, this is more like particularly one of the types of developments that has to be allowed are cottage clusters or like pocket neighborhoods, like small, single unit, sort of single story homes. And that the examples of those are, if you look at the graphic, it's on that, on cottage unit, it's those 2 there, the gray and the black 4th row. So those are these smaller developments. So in that situation, you'd want to have some separation between them.
So would an actual tiny house cluster fit
Yes.
under this too?
Yeah.
So you could put 9 cottage units or whatever tiny houses on a single lot in a commercial zone under this reg by statute.
Wow.
You would have to meet all the same standards and, you know, tiny house is on a chassis and is on, and all those things, and there's a separate set of building code. So a cottage unit is not a tiny house,
Right.
but you could put a small house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get back to that, tax building coverage? You think we should include like, per buildable, I mean, if you have an acre and a half and half of it's covered by wetland. It's buildable still allows it to be considered with the acre and a half.
Oh, so include. Well, I guess those buildable area would still apply if someone were coming in and trying to create a new lot in the commercial zone. So that standard that you have would still apply, which is in 501. So you have standards in there for how the lot gets created and, no, that you had, isn't there language in there about like the lot's entirely wetlands? It's not. Not so that. We. How we talk about this, maybe it's. Buildable area. Right?
Yeah. That's not been transposed.
Okay, so you have area, okay, you have an area requirement in the business zones, but in the residential zones, you have a buildable area requirement. So unless that,
both of them?
oh, we'd have to establish it across the board first. So we could do it, but we wouldn't be able to do it here.
Okay.
Because your commercial regs don't have any minimum buildable area standards. So they still wouldn't be able to do anything in those regulated areas. But we're applying the coverage to the whole lot, which I think it probably makes more sense
So
because
if they had a larger area of wetlands, then they have higher density available to that property then.
well, the coverage is going to be based upon the total lot size. So if wetlands take some of that buildable area off the table, then they're just more restricted.
Yeah, you lose it.
We're still doing the calculation based on the whole property.
Yeah.
So if we say you can build on 65% per the reg, but 50% is wetlands, you still can only do
On
15%.
Yeah, but you could put in units a lot tighter in that. You think?
Good, but we don't regulate, we can't do density.
Density.
We have to allow 2 to 9,
Gotcha. So density is really not a question anymore.
It is what it is.
up to 9. After 9, you have full control as you would normally, but up to 9, you don't get to.
Is there any square footage limitation on these?
So if you go to the last row on the table, that is where you could put that. I've had towns do maximum unit size and cap the size of the unit by square footage. You can't establish a minimum, but you can establish a max. I had 1 or 2 towns go and regulate number of bedrooms and not size. So they're saying that they don't want these units to be more than 2 bedrooms. There are pros and cons to all of that. So if you don't have a really strong opinion on those, then I would say leave it. The idea is if you regulate the size, you might regulate the cost, and that could make them more attainable from a renting perspective. If you restrict bedrooms, you're also restricting the marketability, which depending on how you look at that, the flip side is smaller units will generate less kids. So in towns that are panicked about kids, because some towns still are, even though they don't need to be, they think we can't have a 3-bedroom unit because it'll have children. A town like East Windsor that probably isn't worried about that, and you don't probably have to.
So see what they bring us.
We need the
But there are places where a 3-bedroom unit
Yeah.
The place is not far from here. You might go for $3,500 a month.
Right, I know.
So, reducing the number of bedrooms might bring that to $2,800 a month.
Let the market dictate itself.
But, I don't think we have those really intense pressures here, so
No.
it might be just as easy to not take that.
Recommend that the table as it is with.
I think probably just strike it, pull them off and save the space.
So you're recommending striking
13.
13. What about 12, 9, and 10? They don't have anything in the table that I can see.
Yeah, so
So the permitted vehicular access, is that another way to say driveway cut?
yes,
Okay.
single access
Says-
side or shared driveway.
Just says,
Access or shared?
but it says location and quantity. It doesn't say anything.
Right, just because the idea was we were gonna have that meeting before and we were gonna talk about what the commission thought made sense. Right, we referred it,
But if we have to approve it tonight,
you just approve it with the standard that you discussed now.
We're making it a standard now. So 1.
so that would be 1.
Right, so like the language that I have seen most consistently for that is single access drive or shared driveway.
Oh, gotcha.
If we're trying to reduce curb cuts, reduce the amount of interactions with cars to the street if we can, and still permitting the development to have a single access drive. So you don't have a driveway for each unit.
Got it.
Have a situation where someone just builds 9 townhouses right up on the road and has driveway.
The location, does the location have to say front from the front?
Well, if we leave 8,
Right.
then that would limit where the parking could go. And then the driveway would just be, the access point from the, on the frontage.
Correct. So any location then. Okay.
You noted to add the word common parking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To 8,
Take the rear yard's gonna go into all.
yep.
Okay, rear yard goes across it all. Common.
So we really probably don't have a need for a minimum height or a maximum unit size. And what about the separation? Are we gonna concern ourselves with building separation?
Some of these, like I'm just looking at another one, we did 15 feet for a principal and 10 feet for an accessory. If you don't, so because we can always make the reg more restrictive, we put it all on here with the idea that we could discuss and add. We can't decide now, let's create a new standard that we didn't talk about. So the reason there's more in here is because it's easy to just say, strike, we don't need it, strike, we don't need it. So I'm not trying to appeal to you emotionally that you do need these things. If you don't think it's necessary, or you don't feel like you have a lot of concern if a development comes in front of you that you don't get to control that aspect, then we don't need the standard. So if we don't have a minimum, then someone could build, 1, 2, or 3 story. If you're good with that, then we could strike it.
Well, I would guess from a height perspective, there's a height that a fire truck can reach. And
That's the maximum. which
Right.
That we already have listed there is
We're already there.
4 stories, 2.
the 4 stories.
73
Yeah.
North Road already gave us that
Okay, so then
that we've approved. So
the minimum would be 1 story and that's fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, minimum's
We
easy.
don't really need
It's a
that.
little harder, but
yeah,
Oh, no, all right, from table 501.
I'm just still kind of debating this whole building separation because I would think that the fire department would like to see a minimum separation between buildings, even just so fire doesn't jump easily from one building to the next, or if they,
Walls between them.
or they have to, have the ability,
Impact building,
pardon?
what Ann's hitting on,
Like condos, they put firewalls between the units.
We're saying, we're
buildings,
talking a
fire
structural
units.
building. If you have one physical building here and
Not
another,
interior.
and leave, and you don't want an alleyway between the two buildings that you couldn't get any kind of equipment or anything in between it.
Anybody out?
But like Little League, you can go into, cities that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
barely walk through between
Yeah.
buildings. Or they have common walls.
Yeah.
Can't paint the
alleyway
wall.
is-
Yep.
So, don't forget that fire marshal has no jurisdiction over ones and twos. So
Yeah.
fire marshal only comes into play 3+.
Yep.
So if somebody decides that they want to put
Two,
three duplexes on on a property, the fire marshal doesn't have jurisdiction over those buildings. So if there's something in the building code that says you have to do the following things for, building separation, that'll always apply.
Yeah.
But if they can meet the fire code, or if they have 3+, or like I said, in the example of like a cottage unit where you have single families, one
Yeah.
family,
Okay.
the separation is kind of comes into play.
Question, if we put in 20 feet into this now, and somebody comes to us with an application showing a good layout at 15 feet, do we have the ability to grant them no, we can't. Whatever is here, they have to meet it.
They would have to come in and tell you,
They'd have to revise the reg,
correct.
because this is,
They'd have to go for a text amendment first.
yeah, so they could fix it that way.
And that's what you're sort of weighing with all of these. Do we want to have a development where the properties are too close and we wish we put it in? Or do we want to have a situation where as soon as we adopt it, someone's going to show up and say, this doesn't work, and you'll have to amend it? I mean, those are the.
How they can ask.
Okay,
Right.
that's okay if they come in and
Yeah.
amend it, or
And
just
then show me a good layout that I'm happy
that-
with. Yeah.
tell us why it would work,
Right.
and that's fine.
And so what I mentioned earlier and what we have done in other places is sort of mirroring sort of that minimum setback. So like I said, principal, we had 15. So like your minimum side yard setback is 15. So in theory, if you had two properties next to each other, right, you're
30 feet.
well, that one I guess would be 30, but I guess I've seen 15 and 25. Those are the two that kind of, and I think 25 is something that a lot of the fire marshals tend to ask for building separation on some of the bigger developments.
Why don't we go with?
Yeah, let's go with 25 and let
There you go.
people
Figure it out.
Fix-
come with us with better ideas.
Yeah.
That's for the principal.
That's for,
You feel a need to regulate
Operation number 12.
for an accessory building?
And is an accessory.
like if they had a detached garage.
Shed, detached garage or common garage, like you have, a single garage with
Yeah.
7 bays. Would you want there to be separation between?
Because if a car caught fire, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to get in there.
Let's keep the 25 all around.
Just call it,
25
That's it.
separation.
okay.
Okay.
Other thing that I am gonna recommend the commission consider, which isn't in here, is the last section, which is alternative compliance. And it allows, for in certain circumstances, the commission to issue a partial deviation. So this is not what you talked about where they say, oh, I can't meet your 25 feet, I can only do 15. That's not sort of this, I'm close.
Okay.
But this is in certain circumstances where there are specific criteria that have been met that sort of warrant a partial deviation from the standard. So you're not waiving the standard and saying you don't need to do it at all. There's what I want to do is adjust the order of these just so that they make a little more sense, and then add "and" to the first 3 so that you have to meet. It's not the way it reads now. The argument can be made that you have to just meet 1. And so we want to clarify that it's not just you check 1 box.
And
Right, so it would say the adjustment from the requirement is consistent with the relevant purpose, et cetera, and the adjustment will not have a substantial or undue adverse effect upon, and the subject property contains a lawfully established existing building built prior to the effective date of the regulation, and the applicant demonstrates significant compliance with the standards. So, because most of your commercial zones are built out, which means that more often than not, you're going to see this as a conversion of an existing building. And so if somebody has an existing building that's 65 years old, you're not going to make them take the roof off and change the roof type to whatever. And so we want to qualify that a little bit better. and say you've got to meet 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we just want to adjust the format and then add those. And then
So when you get down here.
those are on there and as applicable, but you have to meet all 4 before you can even have the conversation. Yeah, then would say the type of relief requested, and then when the type of relief requested, and then the application proposes.
Okay,
So I just want to
gotcha.
make it.
Just say A1, A2, A3.
For which?
Well, if you're gonna require 4 of them, make it instead of A, B, C, D, just A1, A2, A3.
Oh, yeah, in the number that I had.
And he picks the fact you gotta sign all of them.
Yeah. We can adjust the format. I have to keep it with the letters because the way that you guys do your alternating.
Regs require that?
Yeah, but like I said, when we'll adjust the order of those specifics so that it's not confusing.
You know, planning and zoning was a lot easier 10 years ago. We thinking, oh, we'll waive that, we'll waive this, we'll waive this.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier back then.
That's
remember those days?
I was before my time.
Oh, what? Oh.
There was no waivers when I.
You're like, okay, we're gonna waive that. We're gonna waive
It's
it.
a McDonald's, Burger King thing.
Right.
The waiver, the fact that.
Have it your way.
They took it all away.
Monroe versus.
Yeah. Just gotta pick and choose.
Insert the site layout. The parking and storage. There's a section.
Since it's not.
Sure. So,
That's just a.
Oh, yeah, over here. Anybody have any questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this application?
Absolutely, Paul Anderson. 89. All right, and as I said earlier today, I got this at 9:30 this morning. What's that one? So. Page 3-8, section 6. Paragraph, it says below the first story in A commercial buildings. It should just be in a commercial building. In the first sentence. But it's at the top of the page on 48. Commercial buildings.
She has the blue, the S in blue, that means we want to remove the S.
Yep.
Is that what it means?
Here.
Yes.
Not
Talking about striking that S.
Oh, a unit.
So is the S there in
It's just
blue to
plural.
strike it?
Yeah, it gives.
You've got add-ons in blue too.
Okay. All right.
And then continuing along there, you took out those and then a unit is ISS.
The S, one of those S's has a strike through.
It does?
Against.
I saw you.
It's
not
a-
visible,
It isn't this.
tiny type thing. so
Yeah.
that's what-
It's very hard.
Okay, so much for that.
Taken.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That works. Good. Let's see, somewhere else. Yes, okay. Staying where we were on 48, yes, okay. A says public sewers and water shall be provided. It's an absolute, okay? However, on page 51, you have VII, the approval from North Central Health Department for septic and well. How is that possible?
So that note, public water and sewer is an existing note which comes from
Residential,
where,
the commercial accessory dwelling that may be located above the first story.
so that would be for the special use permits in B1, B2, and B3. That's just a current standard. And that wouldn't be subject to summary review because it's only one unit. So
So is that saying if you're building a single unit, you have to have water and sewer? If you're building multiple units,
You
it
get,
can go on sewer and.
your current regulation,
City water, B3 doesn't have city water.
Well, no, that's, he's saying if it's a single family residence, it has to have
So
public utilities, but if it's a multifamily, it does not.
Right, but I mean, if back up, it's still not even there.
yeah,
It's still.
EU above a
That's
commercial,
still
but
there yet.
if the existing commercial does not have water and sewer?
Yes, commercial requires water and sewer
Mhm.
today.
Okay.
We're not saying it doesn't.
that note that we're talking about is an accessory dwelling unit above a commercial
So that,
location.
so
adding.
you follow it, Mr. Anderson? She's saying if you,
No, not at all.
if you want to put in an apartment above an existing commercial building,
Yeah,
you're gonna have to service that apartment with city water and sewer. That's what this
Yeah.
is saying. So
okay.
you're saying existing commercial is required anyhow to have said, so
Yeah.
what you're saying is you can't build an apartment and put it separately on a well and septic.
I wasn't
That's,
questioning.
no, that's why it's in the section like that.
I understand.
But as far as,
Still in a business zone. Right? We're in business zones for all these things.
right,
The business zone requires water and sewer. And you're saying this is not commercial?
Route 140 is business currently,
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Stantec is,
and it doesn't, is not fully serviced currently.
That's correct. I understand that.
and
But if
Stantec
sewer's
is
available,
business.
you have to connect.
If it's there, if it's available, you have to, but if the water is not,
No septic and wells in that case. Now, commercial goes on Route 5, on 140, and if they don't have water and sewer, they're not building. Done, case closed. They can't get approved.
yeah, so this is not,
Because-
this is not considered commercial though, it's considered business.
No, this is
all.
right to housing
Yeah, but it's
statute. And you can't stop them, basically.
But it can go anywhere, yeah,
And it can go
exactly.
anywhere, and if the health
Yep.
department approves it, you have no say.
Yep.
But it,
Because it's,
Last second. Okay, now, I thought we were allowing
there used to be
business in the same place.
in a B1, B2, HIZ, TZ5,
shove
and B3.
housing
Everywhere,
anywhere.
everywhere, exactly.
Yeah, but
So the statute says you can shove in housing anywhere, any,
Well, not residential.
any zone business.
I think that what I'm hearing but not hearing is that we have this extreme condition that a single unit has to be serviced by water and sewer, but 9 units don't.
Doesn't have to be.
And it's
Really, the reason for that is that the bill does not allow you to say, well, yeah, you can do your 2 to 9 units as of right, but it's got to be on water and sewer. Because,
There's towns that don't have it at all.
and you can't, if they're within that sewer service area, then they're served, and if they're not, they do septic, and you can't qualify that and make a 2-unit development run a water line or something. That's too easy for many towns in the state to sort of point to. I think the right thing to do would have been to strike the requirement that a single commercial residential unit have water and sewer. Because if the existing building is not served by water and sewer, they'll never be able to serve the residential unit. But these amendments were tailored to what the act required. And so that's 2+. And because that note references 1, it can stay. Is it necessary and appropriate? I don't think so, but to the guise of what we're doing here, this narrow focus
Of adding middle housing.
of adding 2+, it is, yes,
Not applicable.
it's a completely unequal standard to make one residential unit have water and sewer, but be okay with septic and well for 2 to 9.
But that's because the statute is forcing it to be that way.
And because your existing regs set that bar for the commercial public one, that note was already there.
Yeah.
So it.
the only time we are requiring residential to have sewer is if sewer is available. Has nothing to do with sewer service area, by the way, because that doesn't either. But If sewer is in the street and you're building anything, you have to connect to the sewer, period. It has nothing to do with residential, commercial, or anything. So I don't see why that wouldn't apply to any other kind of this building and.
It should.
Sewer is available, but that doesn't say that.
Well, all I'm just saying is, if you want to put this in, and you're going with septic, you have to get approvals from North Central to do it.
Yes.
Water shall be provided when.
But it doesn't say if the sewer line is there, you have to connect.
Well, is that under current
Why would
building
you
code?
why would you require approval from North Central? It says it's required.
Right.
Get approval, even though you have maybe sewer and water available. Why would you do that? So the wording, it may be that it's okay to be there, the wording may not be appropriate.
It's covered when you have as applicable. So
Okay,
if you,
that's fair enough. Okay. I got you. No, I would accept that. I just want to make sure we're not putting something in it that's gonna make life more complicated. Well, I agree. That's it. I don't have it.
Okay.
Thank you. Good.
okay, I think so here's the difficult part, that is that we've got edits and corrections and things like that. Normally, we'd love to see a clean copy before we approve anything like this, but we're also up against the July 1 date. We don't have another meeting before then? We do not. So if we don't approve it with the understanding that the edits we discussed are going to be made, then we open ourselves up to an application prior to any standards, and we'll have a much more difficult.
Which is worse.
Right. So I'm taking the lesser of two evils, and I'm okay with approving with the understanding the edits that we discussed are going to be made. So what's the feeling of the commission? Want to proceed or you want to continue with this?
See.
I'll take a straw poll.
Right, I'm comfortable.
I guess we have to proceed because otherwise we have no architectural standards and they can do whatever they please.
There you go. So I think we have any consensus on this, so. Nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2026-14.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. Okay, so entertain a motion on this application.
Try to do a motion with the edits and you guys correct me for what I miss.
I'll think it's applicable, the saying is with the corrections as discussed.
Wrote them down.
Okay.
So
Then proceed.
I'll make a motion to approve PZ 2026-14, the proposed text amendment changes to implement the middle housing requirements imposed by Public Act 25-1 in a thoughtful manner. These amendments include amendments to existing sections 203 definitions, 502 permitted uses in business and industrial districts, and a new section 502.6 middle housing. Finding that the amendments provide some surety that middle housing constructed in the business and mixed use zones is well planned and supports public health and safety. And the amendment becomes effective July 1, 2026. The revisions to the proposed text amendment are striking on page 48, striking the B under the commission may authorize special use permit the construction of a residential unit in structure separate from the commercial spaces that, keeping A, striking B. And then on page 50, On C2, striking the phrase "in any single building." In development standards, number 4 on page 52. Requiring on number 8 in the table, the rear yard be carried all the way across the line in all zones. Editing number 9, permitted vehicular access, to say single access driveway all the way across the line in all zones. Striking number 10, minimum overall height. Then 11 would become 10. 12 would become 11. And 12, required building separation would be 25 feet, listed in all zones. And then striking what is 13 as presented in the draft.
Can I add a couple of things to the table?
Yes, please do.
On number 8, we're gonna call that common parking.
Correct.
And I had written down for 9 that was going to read single access or shared driveway.
Okay, thank you.
And then we were going to put a reference of 601 in 7AI. And adding the general understanding that we verify that all the footnotes correspond to an appropriate item.
I'm adding "and" to the alternative compliance section,
Oh, that's
for those first 3.
The only other thing that there was that, which edit, we took out single building. That was quite
To the definition. It's in the definition section and in the,
in 502 section.
yes. Where we, in both places, we define mixed use.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve the application as with the amendments as discussed. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Unanimous. Okay. Next item on our agenda, we have no old business, no new business. So under other business, we have an informal discussion on cannabis retail. Thank you, gentlemen, for waiting us out this long.
Are you introduce us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Farrell. I'm the president of Quinnipiac Valley Growth Partners. We're a cannabis company that's headquartered in Wallingford, Connecticut. With me this evening is Weaver and Weber.
Evening.
Who are with QV. We have a cannabis retailer license from the state of Connecticut that we're looking at bringing here to East Windsor. We have not entered into any lease or any kind of legal arrangement, but we are looking at 4 Prospect Hill Road. It is the plaza that contains also Elizabeth's Restaurant amongst several other businesses. I know that you've considered the topic of cannabis retailing before because you've done some work in your regulations. Some of the things that I think we could tell you, and I'm going to talk just very briefly. You've had a long evening, and then David could perhaps talk about the site and Jim can talk about the sales tax. But
what I could tell you is that, you know, before I went into this field, I was the Commissioner of Consumer Protection for the state of Connecticut, the agency that, you know, regulates pharmaceuticals, regulates liquor, regulates many things. And at the time that I did that, Connecticut considered and passed medical marijuana. So I've had a hand in some of the regulations that have come to be, and certainly have been at the end of implementing some of them. And I think from a retail perspective, since that's what we're talking about tonight, two key things could be mentioned in regard to a cannabis retailer existing in your community at this site. That number one, any customer who arrives at our doorstep is not physically getting into our establishment until they have presented identification that verifies that they are of age. And that's not just what package stores do. They ask to see your ID. We're taking down the information and it's being kept. If there were a problem or a question at a later date, we have that information. You know, a second thing is the security of the facility. We had the opportunity to meet with planning staff, with your deputy chief of police, and talk about some of the issues also with security, that the facility would, in addition to all of the things that, you know, there's such a thing as a man trap that would keep the customer contained until they're ID'd and their identification information is taken. But additionally, all of the product that we would have in the facility is in a vault. That vault has all kinds of alarms on it. There are cameras throughout the facility that at any point in time, certainly the Department of Consumer Protection can tap into the cameras in the facility. If they had a question both live and over time, they can monitor all kinds of video of what goes on in that facility. And certainly that could be extended to your police department if that were so desired. So I just did want to make the point that it's a highly regulated kind of business, perhaps more so than almost any other business that anyone can think of in a retail kind of perspective. David Weber has been the person who has been looking in East Haven and East Windsor, and has identified the 4 Prospect Hill site as one that would be compatible for our use. And I think he can speak to that.
Good evening. So, you know, when coming to East Windsor, you know, there are a lot of cannabis facilities in the state already. It's close to 70 existing locations. We identified East Windsor as a great location because there aren't a lot of dispensaries in the area. A lot of the surrounding towns don't allow it or not zoned for it. So there's, you know, a good barrier to, you know, to be located here and have, you know, access to a lot of customers around the towns. We looked at a few different spots in the town, and there's, you know, by going with your zoning regulations, 4 Prospect Hill was a great spot because it was, you know, it satisfied any separation that you know that required. It's not close to schools, it's not close to parks. We've talked to the landlord who's very open to this, and he's pretty excited to have the opportunity to have us there. We've identified a unit that's empty in that facility. It's located right next to the Japanese restaurant. That spot is about 1,100 square feet, and it had been recently renovated for a chiropractor office, but that chiropractor decided to not take the space. So there's not a lot of construction that needs to get done there. There's new flooring, there's new walls. We would just have to, you know, move around a few different walls and put a few different doors in. So not a ton of construction. We know that the business is not going to generate a ton of traffic. I guess when cannabis first started in the state, a lot of the concern was you're going to get all this influx of traffic and people and where are they all going to go. But really that hasn't been the case for a really long time. And now that this is, there's 70 or so dispensaries, it's a quick in, quick out. The plaza has tons of parking. There's a light at the entrance. We've talked to the deputy chief of police last week, along with Ruth Ann. We had a meeting and Danielle here in the office, and, they're very open to it. They're very excited about it. They want to be involved in, helping whatever they can do to make sure that it's patrolled properly and, partner with us. And so far, we feel that this is a good fit, and we're hoping that you guys, see that as a great opportunity.
Yeah, just to add, as Jerry mentioned, it's in the Elizabeth Plaza that's currently in the B2 zone. As best we can tell, there's no protected uses right around it, or that would warrant disqualifying that site. I think what we're looking for is, we know we'll need a special permit for it. We'd like to kind of get a sense from you all what your questions are, what the community's concerns are, how best to address those. We're not proposing any modifications to the site or to this building structure itself. We probably will need building permits, just because we'll be putting up demising walls and vault. But I think our goal tonight is just to introduce ourselves. We've also handed around packets that just kind of have our conceptual plan so far. A sample of who we are and what we're planning for this site. As David mentioned, it's a small space. A couple of years ago, you used to see people putting up these massive dispensaries, anywhere from 3,200 to 4,200 square feet. And if you go to the second or third page, I've included some conceptual renders of the inside. And I can run you guys through those, because as Jerry pointed out, security is our number one priority, both security of our patrons and of our employees. So on the current storefront will be maintained as is. That single entry and exit door will be maintained. Right now, that front space, kind of a waiting room, we'll add another door that'll be a dedicated exit from there into what we call the vestibule, or the check-in, and that leads to the sales floor. The sales floor itself will not be visible at any time or any way from the storefront or from the parking lot. And then behind that, we have a vault, a manager's office, a small bathroom, and our delivery and check-in. So it's a pretty simple layout. It's nice and simple. It reuses a lot of the existing structure there. And as I mentioned, the site's not going to need any major modifications, changes to parking, or any utility upgrades. So we're thinking this can be something that's done pretty quickly. But if you guys have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. We've also included our sort of standard security plan that runs through our operational procedures and our priorities. So I know everyone's pretty tired tonight, but.
And it is strictly retail that we are proposing. No growing, certainly no consumption. Consumption is not allowed under state statute, so strictly retail.
I guess I'll start. Couple of things that came to my mind first. Are you proposing both medical and recreational potencies?
Yes, at this point, and I don't know that there are any that are strictly medical out there anymore, that, to take advantage of the medical marijuana program, you need to have a state card. You have to have gone to a doctor. During COVID, that became very difficult for people. The movement of people has been away from the medical marijuana program to, let's call it a hybrid one, where, you have adult use and you have medical alongside of one another. The advantage to, medical card holder is a reduction in the sales tax, that they can get it for somewhat cheaper. Is there something I'm not covering?
No, I think right now our plans are to just have this be adult use. The state imposes some additional requirements for those that want to offer medical products and serve medical patients. That may not be feasible given the space as it is now. For what it's worth, also in just the Hartford County, I think there's only about 6,200 medical patients. And those numbers are steadily declining. They're great customers to have, but a lot of them are working with established people. They're pretty loyal to their brand. So for now, I think it would just be adult use.
Your check-in area, what do you anticipate? How many people can it hold at one time?
At any given time, I mean, we've kind of configured it on a good day, you might have 80 customers total over the course of that day. So at any given time in that check-in area, either waiting to get buzzed into the sales floor or exiting, waiting to leave the store, at most, you probably have maybe 5 to 10. It's something we'd have to talk with the fire marshal and the building department.
But then my concern is if you exceed that and you start queuing outside the door, now you're kind of impeding access to the restaurant that's right next door, or.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Fortunately, about anywhere from 60 to 70% of sales now are people who have placed them online. So they're coming in. The average customer is usually in the store for about 5 minutes. And that includes those that have already ordered them and those that are coming in, haven't been there.
Your initial may get some curiosity.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And we would prepare for that, if there's a grand opening and we needed, or the town felt we needed some traffic police, anything like that, we would be more than happy to comply and to sponsor.
And then lastly, you do abut a residential development, so I would anticipate some public comment.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
We did discuss that, and they all get notified. We considered even maybe contacting the association first to just kind of discuss them that this is coming. We haven't made a decision yet on that, but.
You may get a little bit of not in my backyard kind of.
Sure, yeah, it's reasonable, I think now that Connecticut's had 3 years to see how these things operate, they're somewhere between an Apple store and a CVS as far as their operations. We'll take every precaution to keep traffic, smells, anything like that down, in addition to whatever the state minimums are.
And also we, meeting last week with the deputy chief of police that came here, before he met with us, he wanted to do a little research on his own, and he contacted 3 chief of polices that he knew, one in Enfield, one in Bristol, and one in Manchester, and just asked them their opinions, any issues. And there was never anything other than it's fine. And we've never had any issue here. So
Enfield locations are high visibility, in a well-developed commercial, not abutting any, residential. This is a little more tucked away out of.
It is, yeah. It's a little more discreet, kind of like, but as mentioned, it's a fairly high intensity intersection there. And that whole retail plaza is pretty well developed. It's been there for a while. Despite recent vacancies.
I happened to go to Hobby Lobby the day the, whatever you call it, dispensary, if that's what it is, across the street was opening. They had those pop-up tents in the parking lot. They had the waving.
To open?
No, just.
For the grand opening?
The grand opening, yeah.
The waving arm kind of people. It was
Jim, you got questions?
Yeah, so to be clear, it's the right side of the restaurant. That
It is, right.
little space right there. Right. Sometimes the Elizabeth's gets pretty, hours of operation.
So I think right now the town is cabineted in between 7 and 9. We would probably be looking for those same hours, 7 days a week. Closed on certain holidays.
It's on that, it's not on the back side, it's on the right end, kind of like it's like a.
Yeah, if you.
Part of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, me too.
Yep. All right, yeah, then parking sometimes is a problem with Friday or Saturday night when Elizabeth gets crowded, everybody parks on this side, but.
But right around the corner, there's just.
It goes double space, yeah. I'm aware. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, and the busiest hours tend to be anywhere from around 2 in the afternoon to around 6, just about the same time the restaurants start filling up.
Yeah.
So, there should be, obviously there will be some overlap, but it shouldn't be too severe.
And the market's not saturated, huh? They just built 4 more, they built 4 in Enfield?
It's 2.
Yeah.
It's getting there, there's no doubt, there's not giving any more licenses out, and, we're looking to open something now because we spent the first couple years of our company trying to do cultivation and worked on building out cultivating, and And we spent a lot of time and effort doing that. When we got the license, it included both the cultivation license and 2 retail licenses. And we decided to concentrate on the cultivation early.
That was millions of dollars to get those permits, I'm sure.
20 or so to get it up and running. And so, it was a big facility we had all designed out and, we did everything we could to get that going. But as that started to, decline as far as, opportunities in the economy to raise that kind of money, we decided to push the dispensary.
And everything comes prepackaged, I assume, and it's all prepackaged, like, hey, here's your order, the truck comes in.
Yeah, and everything we get in there is all prepackaged as well. We don't have any open product that we're processing in there and packaging on our own. Everything is already prepackaged from the supplier to us.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's familiar, but all containers, they're completely opaque, child-proofed. They're hard to open even for us.
Somebody gets an order, okay, I want this, they put it back, boom, gone.
Yep, exactly.
Wayne, do you have any questions?
Yes, why does it always smell like a skunk?
It's called skunk weed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our cultivation guy's not here, but it has to do with there's a number of different chemical compounds and aromatics in it. And now I think that smell is associated with high quality. So you get a lot of producers who breed it to kind of get that skunky and even kind of pine.
You can smell it in somebody's car smoking in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you can say.
Yeah, you go to downtown Bridgeport and it smells like that everywhere.
But in your case, with everything being prepackaged, no open product, there should not be.
Smells and even then on top of that inside we'll have active, odor elimination mitigation systems that are pulling it out of the air and.
My neighbor grows it, I can smell it. Now you entrance and exit the same door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something,
A standard thing? Excuse me.
it's not. I mean, for most of these people you might have a double door,
Yeah.
a small partition in the middle. It's something we would need to check with, the building department and the engineers.
And the more, it was more important to have a separate entrance and exit to our retail area from the security area.
Okay.
Those are going to be 2 doors.
All right.
But they're all, that one area is open. There'll be security right in the middle of that area who's going to be greeting people coming in. And, as people exit, they'll just be walking by the desk.
They buzz you in.
They have to buzz in. Yep, they buzz in.
That I know.
So I know in Massachusetts, when they take your information, goes into a database
They scan it.
to ensure there's not a milk run going on.
Yeah. So everyone has an allotment and amount it's automatically tracked. It's like if you go to CVS and you get a prescription, they'll scan you. That's all logged and that's all then reconciled with our inventory management system so that if any employees are diverting it. There's a whole lot of regulations in place to protect against things like that.
Oh.
And then there's a benefit to the town too of a 3%.
The tax benefit. So the average retailer right now is doing about $2.5 million annually, which would bring 75,000 in tax revenue. We're hoping to do better than that. There are many retailers out there doing $5, $6, $7 million a year. We're not saying that we're going to do that. We don't know, but we're certainly expecting the average. And given that there's not immediate competition in the area, and we can pull from some of the other towns such as Windsor Locks and some of the areas that don't have any, we feel that this is a good spot. And we're also not going to be losing a lot of customers are not going to Springfield and Mass because prices have come down so low. And so that has kind of probably hurt the Enfield because they're right on the border and people can drive an extra 10, 15 minutes, and be there. This is, going to probably stop a lot of that travel from people that live north of Hartford that are going to be heading up there. We feel this is a good, kind of intermediary for them as well.
And you have any other questions?
Do you have any ability if people start smoking it in the parking lot? So it doesn't impact the 2 restaurants in the plaza?
Oh, yeah, there'll be security cameras, not only covering the interior, also the exterior. As we mentioned, no consumption's allowed on our premises. We will be watching those cameras. If you see somebody, we'll send somebody out. If it's really bad, we'll call the police.
Okay.
Just to make sure that does not happen.
And
We
the
don't-
police are very open to saying, hey, if you guys want extra patrols there, let us know. We'll work with however we can work with you. So.
Or half a mile down the street, the police.
Yeah, no, I just don't think
Yeah.
it'd be good for the restaurants.
No.
I mean, it's a prohibitive,
Yeah,
activity.
You know,
I do smell it in cars.
most people they're buying it to consume at home. Exactly.
That's
You
not,
know, the people who are in the parking lot, yeah, they're getting it elsewhere.
Dave?
I'm good right now. I'm good.
Stacy?
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. We were helpful.
Thank you.
Talk about the special permit and the site plan. We talked about, one of the things as part of a special permit is, you can get a site plan waived, or you have to do a full site plan. And, this being an existing plaza and we're just kind of renting the retail space, where does that fall with your requirements?
Who regulates your vault and all that stuff? State?
State.
And the building department will regulate your inside of your
Correct.
building.
Heating, plumbing.
Like getting a grocery beer license or that kind of thing.
We have to prove their
Operation.
operation.
And I mean, obviously, we'd want to see
Distance.
final renderings of your layout and how,
It's funny, gave it to us.
well, that's a conceptual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a conceptual one. Big asterisk next to that.
And the only other thing I'll say is that it is an informal discussion. So you can take these back, otherwise,
We don't want this as public.
That becomes
Yeah,
a
it makes sense.
permanent record here.
informal.
you.
I'm not hearing a lot of negative feedback, so that's.
No.
Well, I would,
but the neighbors,
don't know what the butters are gonna, that's a great unknown.
restaurants.
I know the owner of the restaurant. I'll go talk to him.
Be great. I mean, we thought about either having the landlord talk to some of the businesses in the plaza or us talking to them. I guess we'll just handle that. There's not that many businesses. There are 2 restaurants, there's Staff Mark and there's, a hair place. I think that's it. The gaming place just went out of business.
Oh, they moved.
Well, yeah, they.
They're doing great.
So
Yeah.
Then they have, the other spot next to them is still available as well, so. All right, thank you, you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
Back to you.
But nice.
All right, next item we have is the CEO report.
So
I see a lot of yellow.
the yellow on that one, right?
Bobby?
The 122 South Main, know your address. They still have all the millings out there. So to get an approval for that site plan was in the compliance plan that Danielle had drawn up for them. So I don't want things to go on forever there, so I guess the next step would be, do we want to make a move to get the millings off the site? Have them come in with an alternate plan?
I probably say ask them what their next thought is. Are they gonna try to modify their plan to meet the setbacks, or are they going a different direction? And if they're going a different direction, then we have to go with enforcement.
Yeah.
On the millings.
Would they just do a small dealership right by the street and not go way back? I mean, they,
Like I say, if he can,
They could do something.
they gotta look at if he can meet the setbacks.
Yeah.
Or change the activity.
Or change that.
Sales only.
right,
And that's
different thing,
What are
right,
you asking for? He asked for
Yeah.
a car dealership. with
and a whole bunch
repair.
of bays.
Yeah.
Repair
It was the reveal of a toilet in every bay.
and the renting of bays and.
Oh, I might do that. I might rent it. Well, I think that
Putting everybody up.
also, it's modeled off of place up the street, down the street, 198, whatever it was. That was supposed to be tenant space for people getting cars ready for auction. And then they shifted to dealership. And the site's not laid out for one. So to come back and say we're gonna do both.
Oh, that was my first,
Site that's designed.
Perpetuating a
It's
problem.
like, I think it's a tough one,
my
but
first comment was, you're never gonna regulate those bays.
anyway, so I just don't want it to,
But we have the unresolved
Linger.
issue. We
Yeah.
have the unresolved issue, so I'd give them the courtesy of, okay, if you have another plan, present it soon. Maybe we can give them, what do you want to do, a 60-day? Either 60 days you come back before us, or you.
Gotta move it out.
Or move
yeah.
the
I'll bring
millings.
that back within.
Okay. 14 North Road.
The building official has been working with, the owner on this property. No one was living in the trailer, so that came in as a complaint, but there were some other issues.
Okay.
The building official is working. Then 11 North Road, that's really coming along. She said there's a lot of progress. There's only one unauthorized vehicle left that they're working on getting out of there. There's a lot of registered vehicles there that are fine, but. And then, the rooster issue
32 New York.
ongoing. Doesn't just heard any other complaints, but 79 Broadbrook is closed.
Okay.
Yep. 88 Main Street, I believe, is open. They've got a regulatory reminder sent to them. 43 Willem, Range Chickens.
You're running.
Yep, so they.
Jimmy, you guys go over there?
Okay.
Yep.
Free range chickens and blood chickens.
And under correspondence, we have the Enfield Director of Planning, Shell Lightly. Light?
She's Southland,
That's all.
Okay.
South other.
Why is it?
Right?
Why the
Oh, did
agenda?
you put
the
Enfield?
Yeah, the agenda says Enfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did.
Other end,
Okay.
they were working, this is their notification that they were working on their middle housing regulations tonight at a.
Did we send one to them as well? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then. Not for nothing, but Prague said we weren't any conflict. With ours.
Okay. No need for, we have nothing under business meeting, no need for an executive session, so no one has anything else they want to discuss. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:27.